right, I am back, and thank you guys for bearing with the first video of me speaking on me losing my mom, and I'll still continue. I got my Kleenex this time because healing is fun and funny and a big crybaby, which I don't mind being. Um, but sorry, I was looking at the sky because it's like it's a little like it's about to rain, but then it's on this side, it's sunshine. It's so strange. But yeah. So um, thank you guys for listening for the first portion of the other video. Um, so also what I'm doing is I post my videos through Instagram, then I just literally record them through my podcast. So it's the exact um, video, but I'm in an audio form through my podcast. So you can listen to it as cleaning and stuff like that if you like. But thank you. Um, so I had to take a break because that definitely brought back a lot of feelings and still feeling them. Um, I'm never gonna shy away from how I feel when it comes to grief or any type of thing. I'm gonna feel what I feel, but not get stuck in it. And that actually reminded me of something. Me doing this, telling you guys my life story, actually reminds me of a sermon that I had watched of Sarah Jakes Roberts um, long ago, where she said that life is literally the only classroom that we take the test first and then we learn the lessons later. And that is very true. Um, through my experience, I have learned the lessons after things happen and it comes full circle. So it's pretty interesting. But I wanted to explain that grief definitely showed me how to be vulnerable, showed me how to feel and know that it's okay to have these type of emotions, and having that support system that you can go to speak is very important. um, but yeah, uh, getting back into my story with my mom, basically when we returned to Boston after sadly not going to my mom's funeral, my brother came back with us. Um, that was really hard. Um, Seeing him constantly, even though I had my sisters and I knew that I forgave, not for him, but for myself, for my peace of mind, but it was showing up in my body. And the only in the moment I'm not seeing it like that, of course. Um, but mentally I said I forgave, but I was just showing it. Um, but yeah, he stayed with us for a few years. Then he got his own apartment through family members and all that. My brother-in-law was a landlord, and he's gonna be one of the people that I'm gonna touch on when it comes to talk about my grief process as well, because I believe in order for me to have handled his passing, that he later in life passed um, after my mom, I believe that he was literally a true angel for me, because when I returned to Boston, and I just remember him saying, "Take your time, like it's no rush." Like, he was telling me about how sorry I'm outside on my porch and there's dogs barking. So sorry. Um, but I just remembered he kept telling me, take your time, it's no rush, like, because he actually lost his father, and he would tell me little gems to take my time. It's okay to feel what you feel. It's, again, it's not a rush. And at the time, I'm like, yeah, 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 okay, okay, okay. I'm 13 years old. And but I'm listening to him, but I'm also like, yeah, 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 yeah. I don't want to keep feeling pain. I don't want to go through all this. I don't understand why I'm going through this. Um, but yeah, I would say I became more quieter after my mom passed, but also was still quiet before my mom passed. When I got to Boston, I was very quiet. But if you know me, you know I'm very talkative when I can talk. But yeah, I became more quieter to myself a little bit more, especially with my family, um, because I knew my sisters were grieving, and especially when it came to my older sister, because I was living with her, something, um, again, I guess it was suppressing. During the time, I was suppressing my feelings, not showing that I was sad, or just so she doesn't see that, because I'm not sure, honestly, what her relationship really was when it came to her mother. I just know I seen a side that was very disturbing. Like, she was like, didn't want to speak to her. She didn't want nothing to do with her. So I'm not sure what really happened to her and my mom, and I'm not gonna get into that. So I don't. That's not my story to tell, and I don't know the details of it anyway. So I just know from my mom experience and what I went through with her. Um, but yeah, I was suppressing my emotions just so she wouldn't see that, and to be honest, I felt that if she saw that, she will see that I was either ungrateful or that I didn't care that she was taking me in, um, or that's just how I was feeling, and I didn't want her to see that I was missing someone that shouldn't be missed technically, because of she wasn't really a mom, she wasn't really there for me. But she was, my sister was, so my love should be for her, right? Um, so that's how I was internalizing as a kid. And again, I had my brother-in-law there. I would have my moments where I'll speak with him and talk with him, or he'll just randomly sit down and cross his legs and just drop little gems to me. And I really admire him for that. And yeah, that was really tough. So September 2nd was a really 2007 was definitely tough. So fast forwarding a little bit of my life to my to 10 years to 2017. I was in college and I was still living at home. I went to UMass Boston, and you know, during college days, I would see my brother because he lived there. The way the house was set up, there was a two-part of a house, but he lived downstairs in different entrance. But he would come upstairs, eat dinner, and during those times, like, I'm not. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I believe that's also when we found out, sadly, that my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, was diagnosed with cancer, and that was very hard. But I never. Yeah, so that was during that. I'm gonna get to that point, but sorry if I'm everywhere. But yeah, so he was there with us, and um, it was hard seeing him because I was aggravated seeing him all the time, and it was just cringing. And 2017, one day my sister sat me down and said, "We think you should go to therapy because we see that every time, like if we're all in a room, he enters, you leave and you go to your room by yourself, or you just have like a attitude on like we just see it's there. And even though we know he's not doing anything and you know that he would never do that to you, and everything, we think you should go to therapy." And I'm listening to my sisters, definitely agreeing with them. But then when it was my turn to speak, I literally said to my sisters that I understand that you guys had to take your little brother in, and you guys helped him through his, it's helping him through his mental issues and everything. But you guys didn't understand that I'm literally, it's like the exact words I said to them. It's like it's like a womb that's trying to heal, but you keep digging at it. And me seeing my brother every day is digging at me. And mentally, I said I got over it, but it was showing up in my body where I showed aggression, I showed anger, I showed that I was aggravated, I showed, moments I didn't want to cook for him, or I didn't want to, be in the same room with him as we're watching TV. Um, so I'm very grateful that my sisters did sit me down and tell me to go to therapy, because that was literally the best thing for me. Because when I started going to therapy, I noticed the first day of therapy was like an initial take, like you like it's basically you're shopping for a therapist. And I just remembered that I was in this office, and I was telling my story, and then they was like, "You know what? Sorry to cut you, but I think I know this lady said I know who will be a great fit for you." And I was like, "Okay." And she brings in this lady. My first therapist, her name was Tony, um, and she specialized in trauma, and she was of African descent, of descent, and she was just hearing me, like she was just listening to me, and I didn't have a problem being open about my story from a child to where I was then. And literally right there, she brings me in another room. We have our first session, and I'm pouring out to her. She's like, "Wow, like you definitely been suppressing a lot." And I want to say in that first session, or my third session with her, that's when I honestly realized that for 10 years, I was angry at my mom for passing, and I was angry for her choosing alcohol over me, and I just wanted her to choose me, and her family, honestly, and to stand up for herself. So I want to say that moment was a big relief. And also during that time, I believe that is also my friends were going to Georgia, and this is when I also got my first apartment. Thank you, Patricia. As With roommates, and she was like, "Oh, you want to go to Georgia?" It was like a last minute thing, and I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I want to go." And it was, I felt like it was like my mom. I had to find where my mom was, because again, I didn't get to bury my mom. So I took it as like, oh, I'm gonna go finally see where she's at and be at peace to know that she's resting. And that's also the time I was going to therapy, and I'm releasing all this anger, and I'm like, okay, I can finally say what I have to say to her. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't go as smoothly as I was in Georgia, but when I got to her gravesite and I saw where she was, and finally knowing she was resting, I knew she was resting, but physically seeing it. But and saying all I said to her was amazing. It was nighttime being at a gravesite, because sadly I had to wait for my cousins to get off work, and Where you're in Georgia, you need a car, and yeah. So let's just say that. But it was during the night, and I'm at a gravesite, and I'm talking to her, and I'm saying all these things, and I'm telling her all about, I know she's watching with me, I know she's with me all the time, but I'm just like speaking to her, and all I remember literally was looking up, and I see a deer coming towards me, and I'm like, Mama, I gotta go. Well, so I gotta go. There's a deer, and I don't. In hindsight, I thought that was really her, being honest. But again, I don't mess around with deers, especially in the south. So I hurried up. I ran back to the car, and I just really felt at peace in knowing that she is no longer suffering. And I released all that anger. I released all that sadness. Yeah, I still feel sad, a couple of days, here and there. Um, but that was a true moment where I was like, I left everything at that gravesite. So that was a feel good moment of my journey, and that was very sweet. Um, then, you know, transform coming back to Boston, telling my sis, I think I told my sisters, or maybe I didn't tell my sisters, or I just kept it to myself, but telling my therapist that I visit her site, and she was asking me, like, how did that go for you and everything. And I told her exactly what I just said, that it was a feel good and it was sweet. And I'm glad that she know that I'm no longer holding on to that, and I'm no longer holding on to all of those things and suppressing what I did feel for her. So it felt good to visit her and to be doing the work. Um, then fast forward to my brother-in-law. His name is George, and George was a true angel in disguise because, well, in the flesh, whatever. But um, I just know that he was literally sent to be with my sister in order for me to meet him, because he taught me lessons that, oh Jesus, he taught me lessons that literally built me from internally. Even before going to therapy, he built me into a more confident, knowing myself, my value. Because I remember one day in high school, he was driving me to school one morning, and again, my brother-in-law was the type to just drop random gems on you at the random times. And I remember I was in the back seat, and we was at a red light, and I'm looking out, and I just remember him saying, Kiki, no one's gonna love Kiki the way Kiki loves Kiki. Now I'm in the back seat, and it's early morning, and I'm headed to school, and I'm like, huh? But when he said the words, it literally set off like I don't know, electric shocks in me, and I'm like, in mind, like, why would he say that? Like, huh? So no one's gonna love Kiki the way Kiki loves Kiki, and that set the tone for that day and on, because, whew, when I tell you, that just made me know that I'm my first love, and I know what my intentions are. I know what I'm being brought here to do, and that literally just made me feel good. And even just, saying those words till this day still sends shocks through my body. And it just really puts a smile on my face to know that he was the one that taught me that. Again, um, he was a true angel to me, and he definitely helped me during my mom's passing with his gems of him passing knowledge about losing someone. Um, when he became diagnosed with cancer, I believe he had bone and blood cancer. Um, I was definitely sad, and I was like, well, what does this mean? I was confused, and I knew that I had to be strong for him. But there's no but. I don't like using the word but. When he was diagnosed, and I saw him as a, you know, as him, having his moments. Now I wasn't always around when he was like having severe moments because again, my sister did hide a lot when it came to his moments, and honestly didn't want help, so she wanted to do all that. Um, but I tried my best to be there. But during that time, that's also when I left home. I left my sister home, and I got in an apartment with roommates. And I just remembered there was moments when I would go over to the house, and he would just still be his home. He would be himself, and I didn't see him as a cancer patient. I didn't want to treat him like a sick person. So, when there's times when he wanted to either pick up something or, do something, I saw him still being that person, even though he shouldn't have. So there was one time that um, he wanted to fix the hallway bathroom toilet, and um, he wanted to replace the old one with a new toilet. And I just remember him and I fixing on that toilet, even though my sister was pissed that him and I was carrying that toilet upstairs. Yeah, but I saw it as he was human and he wanted to remain being a man, even though he knew his limits. Um, so I took those little moments of us fixing of him telling me how to fix a toilet, and those moments of him telling me don't allow people to get to me because my brother-in-law knew my sisters. He knew my whole entire family, and he knew that my sisters could get to me, and he knew that when I say get to me, he it's more like don't allow what they're saying to dictate your reaction. During the moment, I'm not thinking that. When you're being told to do something, or you're being yelled at, or you're being talked to in a certain way, you're not thinking that. You're crying, you're frustrated, you're saying words back, you're not thinking that. And I just remember him always saying, don't allow someone to get the best of you, and don't let them get to you. And I know this video is long, so I want to say that sadly, my mom passing helped me prepare for his passing because he helped me through my mom passing, and those lessons helped me get through his passing. And I'm just glad to have had him in my life, and of him teaching me so many things about loving myself, valuing myself, and taking being in control of myself, even though it took a while to grasp those concepts, um, and learning them also during therapy. So I'm just really appreciating that losing him also was a big bonus of him being in my life, of him teaching me those lessons. So I just wanted to drop in and say that portion of my life, about grief. So thank you for listening. And his, I didn't cry as much, but I really felt, when I speak on him, I feel him being the sunlight, and he's just a blessing to me, and he brought me so much happiness. So yeah, these are happy tears. So thank you for listening, as I'm about to cry.